Charlie, who let you into this podcast?
You did.
Well, this is a different site.
Yeah, this is a little different.
Blake's at the hospital right now. He's having his third kid. Well, he's not having it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So we settled for Charlie. No, I'm just kidding. We're doing a podcast with Charlie today. So we're going to talk about, we're the content creators here. So I feel like it's fitting for us to talk about some gear stuff and some workflow stuff and just like, not like what Blake and I talk about. Change it up a little bit. So I think I'm excited for this. So
Yeah, I'm excited too.
let's just, what should we start with? I don't even know.
We should start.
Getting better mics. Jeez, hold on. All right, there we go.
We should kind of start like where how we started our video stuff from like when we were younger and kind of where we're at now.
Okay. I started when I was 15.
Yep.
Did you start when you were 15?
I started when I was 15 too.
It's going to be a competition.
This is going to be a big competition the whole
All
time.
right, so you want to go first or want me to go first?
You can go first.
All right. Started when I was 15. Actually, I started when I was 14 and a half with photography.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I know it was 14 and a half is because I was getting my driver's permit at the time because my dad had to drive me to my first shoot, which is a fun fact.
I think,
Then video, I didn't start video till January of 2018. Started video, did my first video for a company. They loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like I had no idea what I was doing, but I just did it. And then I worked with them for like 6-ish months as like a media intern. Pretty much I was just like a bitch for a startup company.
Yeah.
So like, I did everything they didn't want to do, which was totally fine. I was getting my hands dirty and I was loving it. And then after that, after I stopped being their intern, after like 6 months, I sent out like a bunch of DMs. The VP of marketing at that company was like, you need to start doing this. And I was like, all right.
You're like,
Sent out a bunch of DMs, got some responses, and it kind of just snowballed from there. One
gotcha.
after the other. And 5 years later, we're right here.
Wow.
5 years next month.
That is crazy.
That is crazy.
Look at how far you've come.
I know. Same as you, Charlie.
I know.
Where'd you come from?
Well, I started making YouTube videos in Oregon.
I'll preface, I made YouTube videos all through middle school.
Yeah, that was the same with me too.
Continue.
There's a lot of people that would make fun of me for making the YouTube videos.
Same.
But little did I know it would have turned into a career. So, you know what I say to them is fuck them. But so I
Charlie's
started
not holding back today.
Yeah, I'm not holding back today. I've been waiting for this moment. I started making videos when I was 15. I got my furred. That's a new word. That's a new word. I'm first time on podcast, guys.
Charlie's a little bit nervous.
I'm a little nervous. I'm just kidding. I got my first client in real estate, actually. How I started was I made a list in like a Google Sheets of people's names and their phone numbers, and then I'd go to Zillow and basically go through all the available listings on there and then go to the listing agent and somehow find their phone number online through either the brokerage website or like I just found it somehow. You
were hungry.
I was hungry. And then I basically just had a goal of calling, 25 agents a day.
You did cold calls.
I did cold calls.
That's one thing I always avoided.
Yeah.
And I made it work.
I somehow made the cold calls work. Like I obviously didn't love cold calls, but it was like whatever I could do to what worked for me. So I got my first listing video probably like a month after I made my first cold call. And I shot it on like a Sony A6000. Okay. I think I still have the video.
It's not a bad camera though.
It's not a bad camera. It's just not like a, it's not anything
you're not
we're used
someone
today.
$5,000 with that camera.
No, exactly. And so I think my very first video was like $250.
Really?
And so it was a listing
Charlie
video.
came out the gate hot. My first video was $75. I thought
Really?
I was rich.
Yeah, so I did that video. I remember thinking it was the coolest thing, getting paid for like what I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that, and then I kind of kept doing the same thing, calling more agents. Grew from there, and then I got connected with a social media agency. Started working with her, and grew from here, and then connected with the right people. And now I'm at Quick Bites. So
now we're at Quick Bites. Yeah,
we're at Quick Bites now, but it's been a fun journey. So.
Yeah. Also, fun fact: when I met with Charlie, I did not want to meet. Like I kept pushing it off just because I just didn't have time. And I was like, I don't want. And then I was like in my head, I was like, no, like you need to like. Things that I've always wanted to push off have always turned into something.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just need to do it. And lo and behold, it was worth every penny.
We're here today. Very grateful for that meeting.
So you started in real estate. I started in food. Then I realized, okay, I'm not going to be able to make money in the food industry.
Yeah.
Because there's no budget.
That's kind of how, I mean,
You flipped.
I flipped. So
And then I went to real estate.
yeah. So I started in real estate and then kind of did more food videos toward the end, but I didn't get paid for any of
So
the
Charlie
food
went like
videos.
this, and then like
Yeah, exactly. So, and then that's why I'm here today. But yeah.
I did my first real estate video in January of 2020. Perfect timing for COVID. Whenever, when all that crap hit, it was kind of nice because I was working with Jesse Taff at the time, and we did a bunch of parade homes, but via video.
Yeah.
So I think we made like 4 or 5 parade home videos.
Wow.
And so they're really nice houses, right? So that
Yeah.
like really helped me get good quickly because I
Yeah.
needed to be. And so, yeah, and then I did real estate and then kind of anything in between, like really random stuff, but real estate was where I hung out. And then now micro content, I like personal brand content, documenting stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I feel like one thing I see a lot of videographers like want to really expand out into a ton of different niches and like they have clients from all over the place. I feel like a lot of successful business owners focus on like one niche and like with what we do now, we're focusing on just micro content, like super quick pieces of content. And I feel like that's a problem for a lot of videographers. They just don't know where to go from there. It's like, do I focus on one thing or do I have a lot of different types of clients? That was one thing I struggled with.
Yeah. So it's cool when you can do every niche.
Yeah.
'Cause you have more opportunity, more client.
Yeah.
But it's so exhausting. And like when I started with Blake just doing his stuff, it was like a relief.
Mhm.
I'd never had a taste of like just doing one client's work.
Yeah, that consistency.
And it's not even the consistency, but just the fact that like, all right, I can hone in on this client and learn who they are and tell their story perfectly
Yeah.
versus doing these one-off videos for 28 different people
Yeah,
every
exactly.
other month. So it's just like, I prefer going very narrow with clientele base.
Agreed.
And it's just, yeah, you create a better product and you're probably going to be more passionate about one client than 10 because it's just, you can't put the energy to all of them.
Yeah. No, 100%. I totally agree with that.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, the reason why I was so intrigued to get away from freelancing was because I wanted more stability in my life and really just focusing on like that one client and sort of like our clientele with Quick Bites. Like that brought a lot of contentment, like just I don't know if that's the right word, but fulfillment, yeah, to my life because I was like, this is nice. I don't have to focus on a bunch of different things. It's nice to be able to kind of tone in on that. So
well, there's a happy medium between stability in your career and like stagnancy. I don't even know if that's a correct word to use, but like you can get a salary and just stay there forever.
Yeah.
Or you can get a salary and you can build something.
Yeah.
So like you meet someone, I'll just use Blake and I, for example, I'm salaried through Blake, but now it's like I'm building something.
Yeah.
So I had that opportunity. So there's like the two different things because I agree, like, I don't know who says it. I think it's Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, but he's like, salaries are what employers give employees like to kill their dreams or whatever, which I agree with, like 100%.
Yeah.
I'd been in that situation before.
Yeah.
But when you meet the right person and like you work it correctly, like it can be very beneficial, although you're still salaried and it's stable.
Yeah.
Because stability is nice. Freelancing is just a headache.
It is.
Unless you're super, super well known and like have it down.
Yeah.
But then it's like where content's going, I think in-house is going to be a lot more popular.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because of the amount of content you have to make.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to do like one shoot a month. Like it's going to be like Blake and I are shooting like 3 times a week at least.
Yeah.
Because we're together here. And
yeah,
like,
you know what
in
to
an office
expect
space,
too.
yeah.
It's like, yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about gear.
Yeah. You want to go Canon versus Sony?
Let's go Canon versus
Let's
Sony.
go Canon versus Sony.
I'll start with, I'm not a very technical guy.
I'm not either.
Like if you ask me something about my camera, there's like things that I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
But you know how to use it.
I don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
To an
That's what's
extent.
important.
Like, okay, so why did you go with Canon?
Well, the thing is, my very first camera was an A7 II. And so I use that for a lot of like vlogging stuff, and that was really when I didn't know how to like really make professional videos at all. And I kind of bounced around a lot growing up, like with what camera I should get next. And so I went from the Sony camera to the Blackmagic 6K camera, which was a cinema camera. Not a good idea, by the way, especially if you're doing weddings or any sort of long format kind of work.
If you're doing projects under 10 grand, don't get a Blackmagic.
Yes.
Don't get an FX6.
Agreed.
This is going to be an unpopular opinion amongst my boys, because they all have FX6s.
Yeah.
And it looks great. And I've just always been the type of guy to be very compact, like run and gun setup.
Yep.
That's just how I run it. And FX6 is, it's a cinema camera. It's bigger, it's boxier, looks a lot better. You can do a lot more things with it.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference there is not worth it for me currently.
Yeah.
For especially what we're doing moving forward, it just wouldn't make sense for me.
Yeah. So
Cut you off, but
no, you're good. I went from the Blackmagic then to the R5. I wanted a bit of a more compact setup, like you said. Like it's really important with
that
camera.
was Canon's first mirrorless, right?
Yeah, and it was really important for the body of the camera to fit well in my hands, just in terms of when I shoot, I want it to be comfortable. And then battery life was a big thing. The Blackmagic sucked, and I had to buy a bunch of different accessories. I did not know the amount of things I had to buy on top of the actual camera body.
Well, when we shot the RCN conference with that Alex,
Yeah.
he was running the Blackmagic, and he like had 7 batteries and like all this.
And then
stuff.
you had the giant gimbal.
Yeah, so it was just it is. It's like, okay, well, you can buy this. You can buy 3 things and be good to go and look good.
Yeah.
Or you can buy 14 things with with a cinema camera and it looks a little bit better.
Yeah.
Especially for what we're displaying it on.
Exactly.
Our phones don't even like. A lot of our displays can't you can't even. It doesn't good if you're shooting in 4K.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it's like. It's not really worth it.
Well, and it was also interesting to go from the R5 to Sony as well, because I found that I actually like how the Sony cameras look in terms of straight out of the camera. Like when we shoot an S-Log, I love what we can do with the colors and like what Blake's content.
S-Log, right?
Yeah, and what Blake's content looks like, and it's nice to know sort of how to manage Canon colors and Sony colors as well. Just because if you decide to use different cameras at different times, then that's always a good skill to have. But I went from the R5 to the Sony A7 IV, and now I love it. So
yeah, out of camera, Canons have a little bit better greens and a little bit better oranges.
Yeah, I would
orange yellows.
Yeah,
and then Sony's have way better blues, and their greens and oranges, you can make them look really good.
Yeah,
straight out of camera, like. Takes some tweaking. Even personally, like with coloring, could it's a separate career in the film industry. Like there's a colorist,
Yeah,
because it's just literally a science. That's what literally they call it.
Yeah, it's literally called color science.
And so I've been learning hard the last year, especially after starting shooting S-Log 3 10-bit. I'm like, I'm shooting 10-bit. I have the capability to change these colors tremendously. I need to learn how to do it properly.
Yeah.
So.
Coloring's a hard thing, especially
Premiere. I don't really like Premiere.
I know.
Coloring.
I need to switch to Final Cut. I know.
So everyone's gonna be like, you like Final Cut's better? No, Final Cut's is worse. But I do have a plugin, Color Finale Pro, and it's like Lightroom for video coloring, and it's just like sliders.
Dude, I need to.
So nice.
I need to get on that
because I'm not a wheels or a curves guy.
The only reason with our micro content that we do, the only hiccup that I see is when we color grade it, and then we also have to bring it into the other editing software as well to do the captions. Like that's the only thing where it's like it'd be nice if Final Cut had that.
That's literally the only thing that it doesn't have that I wish it had.
Yeah, we need to talk to Final Cut about that.
And now Final Cut has a built-in. I mean, I think Premiere already does, but for a while we had to use a plugin for what's it called, like a tracker.
Yeah.
For the Beats commercial.
Yeah.
So Final Cut just integrated that this last year.
Yeah.
I mean Premiere probably already had it, but that was the one other thing was
yeah, and
but now it's just
Premiere has also Photoshop, After Effects. After Effects is how they could do that tracking
the
thing.
suite.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Well, and the only downside with like Final Cut, it's like, okay, now I just got to go buy a $40 plugin.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like I pay for color finale, but it's like worth every penny.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to take the time to like get super, super deep into coloring. It's pretty much like coloring for dummies is what I call it. Yeah. So it's like I can get the look I want. And I've just learned so much on like what to adjust. If I want this to look like that, I got to do that, so.
Yeah.
But my camera journey, I went from Canon, Sony,
Really?
So we're flip-flopped.
Yeah, we are. Without a
it always started like with Canon. It was always like Canon's lenses are like, well, and Sony's. I mean, lenses are just so expensive. So I was always running kit lenses, and I never got the look I wanted because I didn't invest in it.
In a nicer lens.
And so then I got the A7, the first Sony, and I was like, I don't need to invest in anything. Like I remember taking my first picture on the A7, and I was like, wow, like this is crisp. And nice.
Isn't that a good feeling? Like when you get your camera and you either shoot a photo or take a video and you're like, whoa.
And for some reason I switched back to Canon. I don't remember why. And then I switched to the A7 III. And I was like, all right, I'm a Sony guy, hardcore Sony guy from now on. So they're just, I don't know. I love Sony's. I love like the setup I run is so simple, and it might be like unpopular amongst filmmakers because audio is one thing that I take pride in. Like I like to have it be like good audio.
Yeah.
Obviously right now, this podcast, we have good audio. Mm-hmm. But when I'm doing micro content, I'm not micing up someone with a lav. Like I'm using a Rode VideoMic Pro. Granted, that's a great shotgun mic, so like it does the job it needs to.
Yeah.
But a lot of filmmakers would go the extra mile to do the lav and stuff, which is cool, but the quality is still there.
Yeah, well, and it's like also people are gonna see the video as well. So if you put a lav mic on there, it's like it could distract them from.
I hate seeing lav mics.
Exactly, it could distract the viewer from what actually matters in the video. They're like, oh, their lav mic's in the way, or oh, their lav mic's like a weird color.
Well, you would think, but the normal person watching it is not even gonna notice because like even KTVB, they got their cords hanging out, and it's like, oh, you're literally KTVB.
That's true.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but just I would
from our perspective, yes, for sure. Yeah. But I don't know. Efficiency is what we're really focusing on, and I've figured out how to be efficient with a quality product.
Yeah,
like so it's
a little bit of a sidetrack. Do you ever find yourself like watching movies and then you're like, wow, that's a really good camera. Like as a filmmaker, you're like, that camera is sharp and they did a really good job on the coloring. Because I'll be like with my parents at my house and I'll be like, that's a good camera. That's a good camera right there.
I never really focus on camera quality. It's usually like composition, shot variety, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it's like the camera's going to be good if it's a movie, whatever. Mm. But I was watching, what's it called? It's a new war movie on Netflix, something on the Northern Front. Quiet on the Northern Front.
I think that's
the whole time I was like, God, this camera's so nice. And I was like, I bet it's an Ari. And it was an Ari.
Really?
And it looked so good. Because like I said, normally I'm not like, oh, that's a nice camera. Like, obviously it's a nice camera.
Yeah.
Usually I focus on editing and like sequencing and stuff like that. But this one I was like, what is this camera?
Yeah.
And the coloring is just crazy. Like when you look at like movie coloring, like they're like, people are like, why does a movie look different than say this footage? It's because like the coloring is like so in depth and there's like so many layers to it.
Yeah.
It's crazy what it can do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What's our next topic?
Need to hire a colorist one day.
We do. We really do need a colorist. I'm still learning.
Way down the road.
Yeah, I'm still learning how to do Sony colors, but we'll get there eventually.
We're good for the time being with color finale.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I am.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I know a ton of people that use Final Cut. I know people that I mean, not personally, but I know a guy that edited a Netflix documentary on Final Cut Pro. Like,
seriously.
It's versatile, just as much as
Premiere.
Premiere.
There's a lot of people that also edit Netflix documentaries with Adobe Premiere, but
I'm aware.
Yeah,
everyone's going to DaVinci though. I don't know if I'm gonna hop on that.
Probably because of colors.
Yeah, which I'm like,
their colors are, their ability to just
like I know my coloring's not the best. Probably not gonna get like,
but it does the job, and it's like a lot of filmmakers want to be perfect. Yeah, and it's okay to be picky in some aspects of your life, but in terms of efficiency, sometimes you gotta just push through it.
Yeah, like I post a lot of videos that I'm unhappy with, like just color wise. The video's
Well,
great.
you know what's funny too is when you see a video you posted a really long time ago and you're like, I would have done this so much differently now. Like I see some of my old real estate listing videos and I'm like, why did I put in like so much blue and orange and like I didn't even use a wide angle lens? Like it's just crazy.
I honestly had great LUTs when I started real estate, so I was covered there.
Really?
Granted, I probably could have adjusted it and made it look better.
Yeah.
The thing I struggled with in the beginning was like, all right, figuring out wider lens. I shot my first video on like 24 millimeters.
You did?
Focal length. And
I think I did too.
Made it work, whatever, but like it could have been
I would have never
better.
done it to this day.
Yeah, and then after 2 years, it took me 2 years to get like a steady hand with my gimbal. Like now people are like, oh, you don't shoot real estate in 60 frames. And I'm like, no, I shoot in 30 frames, you know, down it to 24 in post. And then I can still slow it down a little bit, but my shots are smooth enough to where it's like I just throw a little bit of stabilization, slow it down, and it looks smooth.
Interesting.
Do you shoot in 60?
Well, I used to when I had my R5.
Well, this crops at 60
Yeah.
4K, so obviously I'm not going to shoot that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't shoot anything in 60. It's either
feel like-
30 or 120.
Well,
this
especially-
isn't 24, but it's a podcast. So.
I feel like especially with our micro content, there's no need for 60. Like
No.
No.
Well, micro content, I'm not slowing anything down.
well, and it's like
people
what other
talking.
Quick Bites doesn't do any other work. Like we don't do any other kind of content. So it's like
I'm not
unless
gonna
we
be-
have one-off projects
I'm
like
not going to be filming like a skater.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll use 120. And these do great 120 and
1080.
1080, 120. I don't know if it's 10-bit.
I don't know.
It's either 10. I think it's 10-bit, not 4K.
Yeah.
See, like I don't even know.
We just use the cameras and, you know,
But
hit the settings.
yeah, I shoot everything at 30.
Yeah.
That's also an unpopular thing amongst filmmakers, I think.
Yeah.
But when I'm editing in 24, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because it looks 24. So,
Gotcha.
well, what are you want to touch on something else?
Let's talk about Andrew Tate real quick.
This guy.
You knew this was coming, Riley. You
What
knew
are we-
this was
okay.
coming. I want to talk about this because
Okay.
he's
what's our goal here? What are we talking about him?
well. I just want to talk. Like, what's your point of view on him? What do you think of him and how he's impacted the internet today?
I'll say the one thing that I've noticed with everything he's done is my takeaway is there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Mm-hmm.
Like technically, yes, there's like he probably has more haters than likers,
Yeah.
but it's like he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
And but it's like it came at a cost,
Yeah.
which is a lot
Yeah.
of people dislike him.
Uh-huh.
Which, granted, when you come out and say unpopular opinions, like people are gonna speak up and be like,
Yeah.
voice their
Controversial
opinion.
topic.
So it's like,
yeah.
Personally, I see content like that, and I'm like, yeah, I don't agree with it. Swipe.
Yeah.
I'm not like, thumb
Yeah.
wars. Like
but,
I don't know.
But again, it's engagement. Like it's
Well,
helping the video. Like
like actually, all of the TikToks that have done well in my life have all had they're all hate comments.
yeah.
but it's because like I don't know. I just don't even care. I don't care.
Well, the funny thing is, like, I'll literally go to my TikTok right now. Let's refresh it, and I'll go through. Let's go to 10 TikToks. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh wait, I'm on Blake's.
While you're doing that,
1 sec.
I had a TikTok get 500,000 views, and it had I think like 100 comments. Not
Yeah.
one positive comment. And it was awesome because I was like, thank you guys.
Yeah.
I don't even care. Like at first I was a little bit thrown off by them and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to cry.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
what were you going to say?
oh, I was gonna say, like, usually I'll go through my TikTok and I'll be like 10 TikToks on my For You page, and he's like already on
Andrew.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I've done that before, and it's
Let's see
happened
what
so many
mine's-
times.
If I
Mine's
can get
just
it in one
like-
or two.
Random stuff now, like snowboarding, gym, basketball content.
That's my extra account. Let me go.
Yeah.
I actually don't have much of Andrew on my TikTok.
There used to be a lot for me, but
Twitter, obviously. Yeah, I mean, he's
Yeah.
like also like
yeah,
banned.
I'll kind of talk about my point of view on him.
Yeah, why do you want to talk about him?
Well, I just think like I'm gonna get a lot of hate on this, but I think he's
to each their own.
Yeah, what the content that he's pushing out and what he is saying in terms of like how men should treat women, I think is like very cool to me, because he's like, basically you're supposed to, you know, respect women and saying like telling everyone to say please and thank you and all this stuff. And I see those videos, like when he was on his yacht, he's like literally telling everyone like, please respect all the workers. They're very hardworking. And for someone who makes that much money, that's very cool for them to say that and like just be super polite and respectful. I love that aspect of him. I think he gets a lot of hate, and you know, he'll tell like people that deal with depression or something, like go to the gym, like it's just a thing you're thinking about, like you can find ways to combat that.
And I think people's rebuttal to that is like, you know, they'll take every negative thing he said about a woman like out of context or in context even.
Yeah,
but it's like his goal was to get as much attention as possible.
Yeah.
In order to do that, you got to say outlandish things.
Yeah.
So there's probably 2 videos. It's like, all right, he's respecting women and he's disrespecting women.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, that's true. But it's like, you know, which one was for the attention grab and which one's the genuine.
Well, exactly. And then you try and think about how the internet's trying to twist that as well. Like, what have they been able to?
Well, also, it's like all these people, they get so upset about it and like, you know, hate it. And
they're
whatever.
like, I hate Andrew Tate.
Yeah, it's like, okay, why are you talking about him then?
Yeah.
Just
why are you bringing it up?
Even if it comes up in conversation, like if there's something that comes up in a conversation that I don't like or I don't want to talk about, I don't chime in. Like I wait till it's done and then continue.
Yeah.
And then if it's like, you know, if it's one-on-one conversation, I just, you know, smile
just
and
like,
wave.
cool.
You know, like it's just
you're like you
people
do your
talk
thing.
For as many people hate, for as much shit that people hate, they sure talk a hell of a lot about it.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a funny thing. Like a big thing for me is like not wasting energy on things that literally don't have.
Yeah.
They don't matter at all.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, really.
Yeah. That's a good point.
But yeah, he's done really well grabbing attention.
Agreed.
He got his Twitter back and he had like 1 million followers in 24 hours.
Seriously?
He's not even verified though.
Well, that's because it cost $8, Riley.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. He might be now, but I remember I was like,
I'm sure he is.
But yeah. So
yeah.
Is that the pod?
I think that's the
Charlie's
pod for
first and last pod. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow, last pod.
Charlie's first appearance on the podcast, and hopefully Blake's doing okay.
Yeah.
You know, he just gave birth.
Yeah, he just gave birth, so he's having a bit of a rough day.
But yeah, Blake will be back in that chair, and we'll be talking about more stuff. Charlie will be making more appearances, of course.
Yeah.
We got, you know, team of 3 here for the pod now.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we'll do a trio episode, and everyone,
that
you,
would be
Blake,
fun.
and I are in the pod.
That would be fun.
We got to do
that in the other.
Yeah, we also got to
space.
get another guest here pretty soon.
Yeah, we do.
So there
All
we go.
Well, thanks for listening. Quick Bites out.